Okay, girls, we're now up to finding missing sides. You found missing angles, and the only other thing you can do is find a missing side. So, like for instance, there's an example of a question where you're given the angle, you're given one side, but you're missing a side. Okay, so we're going to come back to that example, but that's what the question looks like. But, can we cross the next slide? Just before we go on to that, you just need to know some simple equation solving skills. So just looking at those two questions, just using your common sense, write down what the answers are, and then we'll work out what operations you have to do. So pause. I just want you to think common sense, what answers for the first one and the second one. Just write down your answer, and then we'll have a look at how you set it out. Okay, so in the first one, 10 over 5 equals 2. So the answer must be 10. And the second one, 10 over 5 equals 2, so the second answer must be 5. So the question is, we know what the answers are and what are the operations. So if you have a look, we're trying to isolate the x. We want the x to be the answer, so we have to get rid of divide 5, and the operation to get rid of divide 5 is to times by 5. So x equals 2 times 5 equals 10, which is the common sense answer. So what we have to do is, when unknown side is on the numerator, the top number, we multiply. So when the unknown up there is on top, is the numerator, we end up with a multiply. And looking at the second one, what we have to do is we have to end up with division again. So we've got a divide operator. So the first thing we'll do is 10 will equal, so the divide x becomes times x. But again, we have to isolate the x. We have to isolate the x, so to get the opposite of times is divide. And so the answer x will be 10 divided by 2, which is 5, which again is the common sense answer. So if you have a look, what's happened here, if you have a look at this line and this line, basically what happens is those two numbers switch positions. Okay, you can show it the long way, but basically if you just switch the positions, you get the answer. So the step is, when the unknown side is on the denominator, the down number, the bottom, we just switch positions. Okay, right out. So what we're going to do now is look at the next question, which is what we started with. Okay, so let's have a look. We name the sides first. Okay, so name the sides. We've got hypotenuse, opposites, and the third side is adjacent. So we've got car, toa. You don't have to do this every time, but I'm just trying to show you what the steps could be. There's nothing given on the adjacent, which means that cos is no good and tan is no good, so it's a sine question. So we write it out. Sine ratio, but the sine ratio is now a sine of 40 equals opposite over hypotenuse. The x is on the top, so we end up with multiply. So x is 5 times sine 40, or 40 times sine 5, and just on your calculator to one decimal place, you get 5 times sine of 40, and to one decimal place it's 3.2. There's other numbers, but we're going to one decimal place, so the answer is 3.2 centimetres. Okay, so copy that down and then come across to the next slide when you're ready. Okay, so we've got another question. So first step is name the sides. So hypotenuse, opposite, and then the third side must be adjacent. So we write down car, toa again. There's nothing on the hypotenuse, there's no numbers, so sine is no good, cos is no good, so we use tan. So the tan ratio but we know the angle is 70, so we don't say tan ratio, we say tan 70 equals the opposite over the adjacent. So this time the x denominator is in the denominator, so we're just going to switch positions. So x will be, so that and that switch positions, so it's 3 divided by tan 70. Just use your calculator, go to one decimal place. 3 divided by tan 70 equals, to one decimal place, 1.1. It was 1.09, but we'll go to 1.1. And then we just put the units. Okay, so the skills are pretty straightforward. Name the sides, identify the ratio, and if x is on the top, you multiply, and if x is on the bottom, you divide. And it doesn't always have to be x, it could be some other letter of the alphabet. Okay, thanks for coming, bye.